Welcome back. Welcome back. It's me and Alex again. Alex, how you doing?
All right, doing great, doing great. How you doing?
Same here. Same here. Today we have a movie that made me afraid of Saint Bernards and bats when I was a child. This movie came out when I was 5, and I remember watching it at that age. And there's a car that is very prominent in this movie. It's a Ford Pinto. My granddad had a Ford Pinto. His was blue, wasn't yellow, but it was the same car. So this movie and my aunt, who at the time lived in Virginia, I lived in North Carolina. She had a Saint Bernard. So this movie, it was in my head a lot when I was 5 years old. So what we're talking about today is Cujo,
Cujo.
1983, based on a book by Stephen King. And let me just start out real quick and say this movie has some of the most perfect setups
Right,
throughout. Like everything that happens is perfectly set up, and we might be able to get into that as we're talking about the movie. But like every little plot point, plot detail, the problem with the car, the the fact that Cujo kills the mechanic guy and his family's not there. Like everything is set up perfectly.
perfectly. Right,
Why the husband isn't there, why the side guy is in the house, and everything. If you watch this movie, I won't have time to get into all of it, but this movie
right.
has the most perfect setups and payoffs. It's only be an hour and a half, and that's the other thing. I forgot this movie was so short.
Yeah, it did. It was short.
Yeah, I swear it seemed like it was much longer when I watched it, years ago when I was a kid, and it's not. It really isn't. Cujo doesn't even kill anybody until 45 minutes in, and it's still great.
Yeah,
It's still
yeah,
great.
absolutely.
So yeah, to start out with, let's talk about the cast of this movie. We
Definitely,
got
definitely.
the always great Dee Wallace, who is just at this point, man. She's just a horror movie icon.
Right,
This
right.
woman's been in a bunch of great horror movies. Too many to name, but she was the mom in E.T.
Ah, that's right. E.T.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
E.T.
I'm mixing movies up. Yeah, she was the mom in E.T. She was the mom in Critters.
Critters. Yeah,
Yep. She was in The Howling.
yeah. She played the reporter in the Howling. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I remember her from the most.
So, Dee Wallace, just legend in the game, give her all the props. You have Danny Pintaro, who plays the little boy. At the
Right,
time they made this movie, he was 6 years old.
6 years old, man.
And give this kid all the props.
Yeah,
He was acting his ass off. I
for
don't know
six
how a
years
little kid
old.
does that. Yeah, I don't know how, there was some behind the scenes footage or interviews they did later, and he was an adult. He was talking about his process making Cujo, and he was saying that like he had experienced a seizure in
Right.
real life. He had experienced a seizure, and he remembered what that was like. So he
Hmm.
imitated it when they needed him to be, sick in the car in Cujo.
Right. The
And
heat stroke,
this
heat condition.
kid,
Yeah.
man, right? This kid, that was the most convincing child acting, you know, near death thing I've seen in a movie. And I
Yes.
forgot how intense that scene was.
Yes.
And then
Very
knowing
intense.
that, they filmed in like 40-degree weather. You're thinking it's hot, but it's not. They got like
Right.
glycerin or whatever on them. D Wallace is really like basically, doing mouth to mouth, and you see like slob and hey, bro, these people are acting.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
insane. I know they don't nominate kids for Oscars, but damn.
Yeah. At 6 years old, this is above and beyond for a 6 year old. Definitely.
Right. Most
Definitely,
adult
man.
actors can't do this.
Right. Right. Can't cry on cue. None of that.
Right.
And he had all of that down. All of that down.
Right.
Yeah.
Because by this time in the movie, my wife had stopped ducking in to see what was going on, and she just sat down, and we were both like, oh, like man, like stressing, like yo, this kid is really this kid is really intensely acting.
Yes,
This is insane. So yeah, if you get a chance to check out anybody watching this, if you get a chance to check out Cujo, just watch the kid. The kid is incredible.
definitely,
Um,
definitely.
we have her husband is played by Daniel Hugh Kelly. Not too much to say
Hardcastle,
about him.
Hardcastle and McCormick.
Yeah,
Hardcastle and McCormick, and that's the part of this film that I really like a lot because again, doing Hardcastle and McCormick back in the day, they were racing cars and stuff like that. So what is he doing in this film? He's got a hot rod. Like, come on, man.
right.
They
Yeah,
basically just
he got a
plucked him
jag.
from the series and put him
Yeah,
right into the same guy.
he got a jag, man. He got a jag, and she driving that beat up Pinto.
Right,
That was the
right.
first thing my wife said. She was like, "Hold up, why she got that old beat up ass Pinto? He driving around a sports
He
car." I
driving a
was
good car. Yeah,
like,
he driving a good car. Yeah.
yeah. And then one plot point I forgot about this movie until rewatching it was that Dee Wallace was having an affair with the tennis instructor guy, whatever. I don't even know what he was, honestly.
He was a handyman. He was a handyman. I think
Okay,
his name. I'm trying to think of his name too.
his name was Steve Kemp.
Kemp, Mr. Kemp.
But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, played by Christopher Stone.
right. Who at the
Yeah, and I
time
didn't.
was her
That's a
husband.
plot point. I totally forgot.
That was her
Was
husband,
he? Oh
her
yeah, you're
real
right.
life
Yeah, yeah,
husband.
yeah, yeah. He
Yeah,
was. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah. Because that's why he's. That's why she's D. Wallace Stone. Yeah.
yeah.
But those are like the main characters of the movie. Ed Lauder plays Joe Camber, the mechanic, and you meet his wife and the son. The son, actually, Billy Jane. He was in a lot back in the day.
Mm.
That because I
The one that
recognized
played
his face immediately.
the
The
one
the
that
the
played
mechanic's
The
son.
Chambers son. Okay.
Yeah, Brett.
Mm.
Yeah,
Right.
that
Okay.
kid back in the day, he was in a lot
Mm.
because I immediately recognized his face. Well, yeah, let's get into what is this movie about because the plot itself is pretty simple.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's
simple.
pretty straightforward.
In the beginning, you got a nice, decent shot of Cujo running around. Saint Bernard. Um, I'd say he was an adult Saint Bernard. I think adult Saint Bernards are like almost almost 3 feet, 3 foot, and they average about maybe 180, 190 pounds. So big dog, big dog.
Yeah.
He's running around in the field doing his thing, and he happens upon a small cage. I mean, a small cave. It's big enough for his head to fit in, and inside of the cave, he's chasing a rabbit, so that's how he gets into his head in the cave. And inside of the cave, I noticed you got a bunch of bones and stuff in there, so there's a little bit more bones in it than I would think would be in a bat cave. But anyway, you got bats hanging up top, and one of the bats, of course, rodents carry disease and stuff, and bats. They say bats aren't rodents, but anyway, it bites him on the nose, and he contracts rabies, and then through the course of the film, the rabies affects Cujo differently. But Cujo isn't owned by the main family. He's not owned by the Trentons. He's owned by the Chambers, and the Chambers, I think the father was just like, Ed the mechanic, the one that can fix your car, down the road. So,
Yeah.
but the main plot of the movie is the Trentons. You got Donna Trenton, and Vic Trenton was the father. Vic Trenton is kind of like an executive for a advertising company, and he's going through his trials and tribulations with issue with some cereal,
Hmm.
some cereal,
Yes.
whatever
Cause it.
the
Yeah.
main account that they had going on, and of course between him and Donna, they've got a little infidelity issue going on. I think while he's working so many hours, she got bored and did other things. I mean, that's life; it happens. And they've also got
Yeah.
a child named Tad. Tad is what, about 6 or 7. So you got that going on, and like you said, the film is set up perfectly where these certain events kind of just stack and they fit.
Hmm.
Um, and apparently, what happens is that Mr. Trent has to go away, and he leaves Donna to get the car that she's driving to the mechanic, who of course is Mr. Chambers, and they're at
Yeah.
this remote farm way the heck down, at the end of town somewhere, and she goes there with her son, hoping to get the car fixed. And unbeknownst to her is that Cujo has become rabid and has killed Mr. Chambers. Mr.
Yeah.
Chambers' wife and kid went away. Like you said, everything's set up
Set up.
perfectly.
Yeah.
So Cujo kills Mr. Chambers and his best friend at his best friend's house, and it comes
Yeah.
back to the farm. And then now we have an isolated situation where Donna and Tad are stuck in a Pinto small car, trying to fend off this rabid dog for a series of a couple of days,
Yeah.
and
Because the
very,
car
very
breaks
tense.
down. Because the car
Right,
breaks down as soon as she gets there.
as soon
Starts
as he
chugging
pulls in.
before she gets when she pulls up, and then it won't start.
Right, right. So we've got this isolated situation, and the tension is on. I mean, she's, trying to, fend this dog off and wait for help, which it took a long time getting there.
Yeah. 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 They were there for a couple days. I think in
Yeah,
movie time it was a couple days, because by this time, by the time she goes to the farm, the husband's already found out about the affair.
right, right,
So he's all like kind of upset. He had to go on this business trip, and then he doesn't hear from her for a couple days, and that's when he leaves his business trip to come back to
right.
find the house,
Thinking that she's
all wrecked
still
from the
that
side
she's
guy.
still right. She's still
Right.
of having issues with the side guy, and he
Yeah.
it's a totally different situation going on.
Right. And like you mentioned about the family not being there, that was set up with the wife of the mechanic. That was set up
Hmm.
with the wife
Miss
saying that she
Chambers,
won a lotto.
I won the lottery.
She won a
right?
lotto for 5,000. She wanted to go visit her mom or sister in
Sister,
Connecticut. Yeah, and that sets them up not being there. The
right?
the car issue set up more than once before she goes there by herself with the son.
Yeah,
You see the husband working on the car. You see the light come on early in the movie, so
right.
there's like an
She's
issue with the
going
car.
around town. Yeah, the car's
Right,
jumping and jerking. Yep.
right. So everything in this movie is perfect. I swear I didn't realize this until watching it this time. I'm like, whoa, everything is absolutely set up in this movie. Everything.
Right.
Yeah, nothing is just like, why is that happening now? No, you know the reason for everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, one more point about the cast. There was like no one can seem to know or say exactly how many dogs were in this movie.
Right.
Because like some people say it's three, some say six, some say seven.
Some say four.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but regardless, there were multiple Saint Bernards, and there was a suit they made put on a man. There was like a mechanical dog head, and
Right.
everything blends so perfectly. You you
Oh
you
yeah.
almost never notice. You never really notice it. Maybe when the dog rams a car, you can
Right.
kind of tell like, okay, that's not a
That was a
real
quick.
dog, but it's happened so fast you don't really notice it.
Right. Right.
But yeah, they did a great job with the Saint Bernards in this movie.
Right. And the
You
editing,
know
everything just
that.
blended together, like you said, blended together
Yeah.
seamlessly, so you couldn't even really tell. Yeah.
Yeah, but the makeup and stuff they put on the dogs to make them look rabid. This is,
Oh man.
they said it was like a whipped egg foam, and they had
Right.
to hurry up and shoot because the dog would just like lick it all off, and they had to tie the dog's tails down because they kept wagging everywhere.
Yeah. Everything.
So
Yeah. The dogs are having fun, and they didn't want to show that
yeah,
because, of course, that would kind of give away the tension of the dog being rabid. Yeah.
yeah, and I like the fact that the dog in the movie is a Saint Bernard. They kept it the same as the book, even though the dog trainer was like, "Why don't I use Dobermans or something like that?" And he's like, "No, we
Right.
want to use
Right.
Saint Bernard." Because Saint Bernards have that friendly image of the little jug, little cask on the neck in the Bugs Bunny cartoons, and
Right.
you're supposed to
They're
Saint Bernard's supposed to be really friendly.
right.
So it's
Right.
just
They're
that
lifesavers.
right. It's that contrast of like, no, this dog will kill you.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's
Definitely.
great setup with that.
And there's one scene I kind of liked where Mr. Chambers and his buddy were, I guess they were playing cards or something at Mr. Chambers' friend's house, and Mr. Chambers like, "Man, you better chill out, or I'm gonna sick my dog on you." And
Right.
then his buddy was like, "Man, your dog couldn't do squat to me even if he wanted to.
Right.
He was a freaking punk, you know." And unbeknownst to him, this damn dog is right there at the
Yeah, he's
table
changing.
going through this rabies thing, and he's like, "Yeah, okay,
Yep.
set
Yeah.
up for later on,"
Yeah. hmm And another thing they set up right there. Another thing they set up is after Cujo gets bitten, whenever there's a loud noise, he perks up. So yeah, you see Cujo get more and more agitated whenever he hears a loud noise, and that actually plays into what happens later when the mom and the kid are trapped in the car. Cujo gets distracted when the phone rings.
Right.
When he hears something, he gets distracted and he goes towards wherever the noise is. And that's just one of those things that, like you said, setups, man. This movie sets up everything that happens, everything,
Right.
which is just, I don't know. I've never read the book, but I don't know if it's set up like that in the book. But if not, then the screenplay for this is great.
Great. Yeah. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get a
I
chance to
do
read
know
the book
in
either.
right. I do know in the book the little boy dies.
Yes.
But even Stephen King said he kind of regretted that. If he could go back and rewrite something, he'd rewrite Cujo, the ending, so that
Right.
the little boy doesn't die. Because that would have been really depressing.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially you figure in the '80s. This came out in '83. That's
Yeah,
again the child thing was. Yeah. That was would have been way
yeah,
heavier. Yeah. If they
right.
had ran with it and actually killed Tad at the end. Yeah.
So, who is your favorite character in this movie? Anybody?
To be honest with you, I didn't really have any favorite character. I mean, of course, Dee Wallace's character was great. You know what I mean? Mom defending the child, but I mean that's pretty much major part of the film. But favorite characters, I don't think I really. I kind of like. I'm trying to think of the name of Mr. Chambers' friend. I think his name was Gary
Oh yeah,
Purvis. Yeah, I liked his attitude, man. I mean, he seems like what's his real name? Miles Watson. Miles has been in like a lot of TV, man. We saw him.
yeah,
He's always playing like a comedy relief, or he played.
hmm
He was in like 18, Fall Guy, Airwolf. He's one of those
right.
TV guys where he's always playing a comedy relief or somebody's goon or some funny guy. But his attitude,
Yeah, just a goofy
yeah,
dude. Yeah,
yeah, just his attitude in here. You saw him, he was dumping all the trash in his backyard, just a straight bum, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And the way that he
yeah. His house was
died,
trash too.
oh yeah, man, yeah, freaking horrendous, man. You know what I'm saying? But again, that that area and different stuff like that, people just have like relaxed living style.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Real
You
relaxed.
dump the trash in the back and you start a bonfire and take care of it. But the
Yeah,
way his character died was kind of funny because he seemed like he was kind of him and Chambers were like to me like matches. Like Chambers was like this
yeah,
real abusive guy to his wife.
yeah,
I'm the ringleader. I'm the head of I'm the head honcho. He's treating his
yeah,
old lady like shit. But when he gets into that life or death situation, he's freaking wussing out, man. Especially when Cujo came at him, he just
yeah.
he was done. This guy was the same way.
Yep.
He's in a situation, and Cujo comes at him. He's rabid. He locks the screen door. Like you got 180 pounds worth of rabid dog coming through, and
Yeah.
that was going to stop him. Like and then he's a
Nope.
gun owner, so he's got the shotgun. Okay. You're trying to find the
Yep.
shells. This dog is coming in. The theory behind it. You're supposed to be ready, so you don't have to get ready. So
Yeah.
again, his
Exactly.
death. His death was just the way he lived his life. Trash. You
Right.
know what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Trash.
so I could put that. I could chalk that up to as far as one of the dumbest scenes, and one of my favorite scenes is the way he got knocked off because Cujo ripped his
Yeah.
throat out. And I was just like, dude, what
Yeah.
the hell,
Yeah.
man?
Yeah. He caught it. He caught it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um.
I'd put him as my favorite character too. So let's blend all of those together.
Right.
That's the part that I had the most laugh with. See that part
Right.
there. How about you?
I think for me, probably the kid.
Mm,
Well, the kid may be my second favorite. The kid just has a great role. Like I said, just watch the movie, y'all. Watch this movie.
yeah,
The
Tad
kid
is cool.
is absolutely incredible. Like he's at first he's one of those kids in the movie that's like, okay, he's kind of annoying. Yeah, he's scared of
Yeah,
monsters. Another thing that gets set up. Very beginning, the kid he's scared of monsters, and they're always talking about monsters. And then Cujo becomes a monster.
right.
It's like his acting in the second half of the movie is just it's amazing. It's
Yeah,
literally top notch. And that's when you really start to like this kid because not because he's a kid in danger, but because like his acting is actually good.
yeah,
He's not just annoying. But maybe I'll probably say my favorite character is just Cujo in general. Cujo's just Cujo has this character arc in this movie. He goes from friendly, loving dog to complete demon by the end.
yeah, yeah. Definitely,
So
definitely.
yeah,
I agree with you
I
100%.
love the actual dog in this movie.
And you could tell that he
You
was a good dog, man. I mean,
yeah,
he was a good dog. He loved his family. You can see all that love in the beginning, man. But again, that rabies, and I guess for him being such a big dog, that
yeah,
process of, because rabies affects your mind. It basically,
yeah. The
makes
brain,
you
yeah,
go mad. At the end of everything, when everything's said and done, your brain is like mush.
yeah,
So the last time I think that he was probably even coherent was in the fog when Brent goes to try to
yep,
find them before they go to see his aunt, and that's why he didn't get attacked in the fog because Cujo
right.
was still there a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
yep. Because he would have took him out.
Oh yeah, bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I have a favorite line from this movie. I don't know if you agree or if you have a different one. It's one of those things, man, that you're like, you probably should have kept your mouth shut. When Dee Wallace pulls up to Camber's place and the car breaks down and Cujo's there, she realizes Cujo's got a problem.
Hmm.
And she's like, she's trying to start the car, 'cause, it turned off on her. She's trying to
Yeah.
start the car and it starts. And she looks at Cujo and she says,
Oh yeah.
"Fuck you, dog." And then the car shuts off again.
Life was like, no, fuck you.
Right.
Yep.
Fuck you, dog.
like like Blade said, I don't know if you remember when the dude was like fuck you. He's like, fuck me. Oh no, you fuck this. That's what
Right.
happened. That's what happened with Cujo. He was like, oh, okay, fuck me. All right, I got
That's funny. Yep.
you.
I
So
agree,
yeah, that's just my
100%.
favorite little line from the movie, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
agree.
um, I would say, I like to ask, like, what's the dumbest or silliest scene from this movie, from any movie? But I don't know if there really is like a silly. There's no real silly scenes in this movie.
No,
There's
everything
a
is
few things you might chuckle at. There's nothing silly in this
I think
movie.
it's pretty serious for the most part. Yeah. Yeah. No, 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 not too many jokes in this
Yeah,
one.
it's a
Yeah.
yeah yeah it's a really serious movie, and I really like the fact that the runtime is only an hour and a half. Because if it was 2 hours, it would be like too much.
Right. Right.
It would be too serious, too intense, and you'd have to have a bigger body count. And like, how many people can this dog kill without somebody shooting him?
Right.
And I really think they kept it really grounded. But yeah, there's nothing really silly. But I will say the dumbest thing that happens is when the police officer or sheriff
Sure. Yeah.
goes to the farm looking for the wife, and he does every. Here's the thing: everything about this movie makes perfect sense,
Right.
except for when the sheriff gets on. He's getting on the walkie-talkie because he sees blood. I mean, he sees like blood on the car. He sees the car he's looking for,
Right.
and instead of radioing in, like continuing to radio in, he hears something in the garage. So he puts the radio down and goes in the garage and ends up getting attacked by Cujo. He climbs up, whatever he falls, Cujo kills him.
Right.
He
Right.
drops his gun. That to me was just dumb on his part. Like,
Yeah.
it only takes 5 seconds, 10 seconds to call on the radio and then go check out what's going on in the
Yeah.
garage.
I think he
You
was
know
the
what I'm
sheriff,
saying?
man.
Because
He's the sheriff.
yeah, so
Yeah. So
he's getting
he
on the
knew better.
radio calling dispatch, like, right. So call your boys out here. Like, hey man, we might need some help out here. This car's got blood on it. I found her. You know,
Right.
just letting y'all know what's going on. That way, somebody's looking for him to come out
Right.
there at the very least. Because it ended
Exactly.
up being a lot longer before someone figured out that he hadn't reported in. Like the husband was the one that figured out, like, y'all ain't heard from him yet. What's going
Yeah.
on with y'all?
Why didn't y'all go down to the farm? What the hell? Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that just didn't make logical sense. So if there's a dumb scene in this movie, I would say is that. But it's, somebody has to, plot points have to be had. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like there has to be a reason for a gun to be there.
Right.
He killed the sheriff. So,
Again,
and Cujo did
I'm
kind
right
of like
with you.
sneak up on him a little bit.
Yeah, Cujo seemed to have an idea of ambush, man. He had an idea of
Yeah,
ambush. The ambush was pretty decent, especially when he did the same with Mr. Chambers. That's his master. That was his owner,
yeah,
and he ambushed Chambers
yeah,
right in Gary's house. And Chambers, he was done. He's like, oh
yeah.
shit, he had to pop the piss in.
Right.
You know,
Right.
did the
Yeah.
same with the
Cujo's a
sheriff.
smart dog. He's a smart dog. Yep. Yeah. Because he didn't Cujo, if I remember right, he heard the car coming.
Yep, and went around.
Am I remembering this wrong? And then went, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you say he's an ambush predator, man.
Yep.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing. I know you mentioned that the neighbor, forgot his name already, but his
Gary.
kill was like your favorite one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gary, his kill was like your favorite one, right? Let me just say what mine was real quick,
Mm.
and if you have another one, go ahead. But I'm gonna say just the actual killing of Cujo
Mm.
was my favorite kill because of all the scenes in this movie. And I remember watching this movie when I was 5. The jump scare of Cujo coming through that window
Yeah.
and then being shot by D. Wallace is the one scene that always stuck out in my mind. First, if somebody mentions Cujo, it's the first thing that comes up in
Yeah.
my mind. And first of all, let's talk about that jump scare, which just makes this an even better scene because right before that, she hits Cujo with the bat, breaks the bat, stabs Cujo when he jumps on her. So you
Hmm.
think Cujo is dead. She takes the kid in the house, and this kid's doing this great acting. He's basically out on the table. She's rubbing water on him. She's doing mouth to mouth.
Trying to get
He
him back
starts to
around.
wake
Come back
up.
around.
She right. He starts to come back around a little bit. She's holding him, and then Cujo does a Jason out of the water on her, and just comes through the window.
Right.
And that scene is just like she picks up that gun, and luckily she didn't do something stupid like they do in movies where like she put the gun somewhere else or
Yeah, and she got
dropped
to
it
reach
outside.
for it or
No,
something.
she
Right.
had it with her. Right, she had it with her, and she blasted Cujo.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the most satisfying kill of the movie. And the
Right.
movie pretty much ends immediately after, because that's when the husband pulls up
Hmm.
and she's coming out on the porch, and as soon as they embrace, the movie goes off. Like
Yeah, you got
that's
credits.
just right, bro. That's hard. Like you don't get no other resolution. Like she definitely got rabies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. She
I
got
did a
bit.
book
Yeah.
report on rabies in middle
Yeah.
school. That shit will kill you. It's 100% fatal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Cujo bit the shit out of her leg early in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't get anything after that. There's no follow up. There's just credits.
Right. Right.
That kid need a doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Kill
it
for
is an
me.
awesome way to actually end the movie.
Best kill for me, I'd say, would be the sheriff. Of course, I told you I like how Gary went out, but the I think that the sheriff got eviscerated. Like Cujo literally pulled his guts out. He didn't
Yeah,
bite him up and go for his throat. He literally just pulled his freaking stomach out. He just
yeah, yeah,
and I was just like, damn, yeah. But yeah, that whole situation with the sheriff, I think that if he had followed proper procedure, he would probably have
yeah.
at least help would have been coming. I mean, he might not have made it,
Right.
but help would
He
have been
still might have
coming.
got taken out, but yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, definitely.
So just real quick, those are just some of the things we want to talk about. But just talking about the movie real quick, I think like when it comes to like claustrophobic situations, this movie is like the perfect example of how you make claustrophobic horror
Right.
because there's two people in a vehicle, and watching the making of documentary showing how the cinematographer, they had like 6 different Pintos,
Hmm.
some with the doors off, some with the roof cut, the windows out. But they had the setup with that scene where the camera spins around inside the car. These
Yeah, when she's
days it would be
passing out.
done like digitally stitched together or whatever. But yeah, like he had made a camera rig that set down on top of the car with like
Hmm.
a periscope type of lens that spent around. And he said he kind of had to guess like where to stop, where to go, where to stop, where to go,
Right.
and the scene came out perfect because it will make you dizzy watching it.
Oh yeah.
Just knowing like some of the production things that were going on. Like I said, it was cold when they were making this movie. They filmed in Northern California, which was supposed to be a stand-in for Cape Cod, Maine,
Right. Right.
because the movie's supposed to take place in Maine, but it's actually filmed in California. Um, Knowing that they filmed this in the middle of winter and it was like in the 40s, and these people are out here freezing. even though it looks hot as fish grease out there.
Yeah, they freaking were
That's just
freezing their butts off.
right. That's just great movie making, in my opinion.
Yeah. Even D Wallace was letting the production and the people on set know that, hey, we got a young boy out here,
Yeah,
dad, he didn't have any clothes on, we need some type of heat, maybe some type of robe or something for him between scenes
yeah,
because it just
yep,
wasn't right for him to be out there in those elements like them and
yeah,
like him being so young, so
yeah,
I commend her for that definitely.
yeah. And they said they would turn on the heat in the car.
Yeah, they had heaters in the car.
Right, they would turn on the heat in the car, but they had to turn it off during the filming because it interrupted with the sound design.
Right.
So yeah, they would heat up the car, but then like during filming, like they'd turn it off, so they were just cold. Just the production of this film. It's a great story. If anyone watching this wants to look it up, the documentary's from like 2008 or 2009,
Yeah, 2008, I think.
um, and it's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's just fascinating to actually see the production of Cujo. It's really interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and as it comes to like dog killer dog movies, Cujo's the gold standard.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
that's
maybe like
that's the
man's best
bar.
friend or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it deserves to be remade, but shouldn't probably.
Right. Yeah.
It's a classic movie. Classic movies end up getting remade eventually, but it's one of those ones that I don't know. It's kind of perfect the way it is. If
Yeah.
you were to remake it, you'd have to have a really intelligent um, story behind it. Like you'd have to kind of redo Stephen King's original story because of
Right.
the time it took place. The reason that she couldn't get help is because she had no way to communicate.
Right. Right. There was no
These
way to
days,
call or
that's
anything.
not
Yeah.
really an issue,
No,
right?
they get cell phones.
That's not really an issue these days, unless you could say like, oh, she didn't have a signal out there or something. Like there's ways to do it, but
Right.
it's just one of those stories that like I don't know even if you remade it, you'd have to remake it as like a period piece that happened around the same period that the original did. So you make it
Right.
now, but make it take place in like 1983 or something like that,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
people aren't even asking the question like, "Ain't she got a cell phone?" Like, no.
And there were some things that were kind of left out too because I think Lewis Tillage was the guy that did the directing, and he was saying something about the original script or idea was the fact that they wanted Cujo to be affected by spirit of a serial killer that might have been
A
on the property
demonic,
somewhere.
yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
And you notice that they had elements of like dark entities, from the fog that Brett was looking for Cujo in. We had the issue with uh, Tad in the closet in the beginning when he
yeah,
described the monster to his father. To me, I swear to God, it sounded like he was talking about Pennywise, but that's just me because again, I understand that Stephen King's world, everything is kind of like all the stories and books that he's written, everything is kind of like
connected.
within the same universe. So that would be kind of cool, but they still have they didn't, when they didn't go with that plot, they had, you would think that somebody would kind of erase the remnants of what they were thinking, but they didn't. The elements were still there.
Right.
You know, that I told you the hole that Cujo stuck his head in. There was an awful lot of bones down there to be a bat cave. Man, bats don't eat
Yeah.
animals like that.
Yeah.
So what the heck is this? And I
Yeah. Yeah.
reflected back on the idea of remember the monster from Night Shift. It was a bat creature that was in the
Yeah. The
basement that
big
was
rat
killing all
monster.
those people. I'm
Yeah.
like, that could have been a breeding ground for them. I mean, you got so many things that you could
Right.
do with this, but the Cujo story in itself would have been done. You could maybe do a story based on the property or the surrounding area, and like make another
Yeah.
movie out of what might have been there. What kind of dark remnants? I still think that there was something there somewhere.
Yeah.
You could do with that,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah. That
Cujo,
would
the
be kind of
dog
cool, actually.
story in itself would probably be done. But you could do something like maybe like a grudge thing where like the dark
Yeah.
energy is creating these situations in this town that are just
Yeah.
escalating. They could do that easy if they
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they want
Yeah.
to.
Continue the universe, man. Netflix show. Whatever.
Yeah, Netflix series.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, man, that's Cujo. Really classic '80s horror film. It's we were just talking about supernatural, and that the supernatural entity from the book was kind of erased from the film, and it just made it
Right.
to me that just makes this movie more horrifying because it seems more real.
It's real,
You
right?
know, there isn't any other force behind Cujo except that he just has rabies and he's a big ass dog.
Yeah, and you are stuck in a situation where
So,
you are
right,
outclassed. Yeah.
right, right. You're outmatched right now.
Hmm.
So that's what just makes this movie so like visceral and so scary, even to
Right.
this day. So yeah, man, 1983 classic. The early 80s were just crazy when it comes to these movies. It's kind
Yeah,
of
they had
insane.
so much going on, man,
Um,
and the stuff was just great,
yeah,
man.
that's Cujo, y'all. You know, check it out any way you can on
Please
digital
do.
streaming. And I don't even think it's on actual most streaming services, but yeah, you know, pick it
There
up
you
somewhere.
go.
It's probably in a bin somewhere for a couple bucks. Yo,
Definitely.
Cujo's a great, great movie. Only hour and a half. Great watch.
I had a ball with this. It scared me as a kid, and I still enjoy it as an adult. If you haven't seen it, definitely take
Yeah,
time up to take a look at it. And other films by Stephen King. Pet Cemetery is one of my particular favorites, so you might
yeah,
want to see that.
yeah, yeah. Check that out. Yeah. So once again, y'all, thanks for watching. That was Cujo. Like, share, subscribe. We'll be back with more.
Absolutely.
Peace.
See you next time.